Well, the first time from a distance, Mount Kilimanjaro doesn't look real. How can such a massive layer cake of volcanic rock shoot up from the Tanzanian plains and touch the clouds so high that its peak is snow-capped on the equator? In this video, I set out to climb the largest freestanding mountain on Earth. But first, we need to flash back 2 days ago to Arusha, where we are prepping for the 9-day trek to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. Habari Tanzania, Eric Conover here from the streets of Arusha. I'm actually in a market right now. We're getting all of our supplies for the hike up Kili tomorrow, and we're with some local guys just showing us around. For the trek up Kilimanjaro, we got lots of veggies, fruits, and enough grains to last the 9-day adventure. You know, only the essentials. Back at the hotel, we laid out all of our gear on the beds and divided the gear to be put either in our day packs or our duffel bags. Prior to the trip, Kili Warriors sends out a very thorough gear list, so you are 100% prepared for the trek.
As you can see in our map, it shows the new map of Mount Kilimanjaro.
There are so many routes to the top of Kilimanjaro, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are all equal. The most popular route is the Mashima route, which takes about 6 days, and since it's the most popular, it also has the most foot traffic. So we are taking the Western Breach route, which is 9 days long and has a much higher summit rate than the others. The more time you spend at elevation, the more time your body has to acclimate to the conditions, hence a higher rate of success. Only a few outfitters offer this route due to the expertise required of the head guides and porters, which means on our summit we aren't climbing with any crowds. We're gonna get a full night's sleep, and then tomorrow morning we set off for day 1 of our trek of Mount Kilimanjaro. Day number 1 of a 9-day trek to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. Biggest tip, pole pole, which means very slowly. Also, drink 3 to 4 liters of water per day. But this is it, we are starting in the jungle, day number 1. We set off into some of the most lush and dense vegetation I've ever seen. The life in this place, a sea of endless green all around. As soon as you start climbing, you feel the altitude immediately. I mean, even right now I'm talking, not really short of breath, but I'm feeling that we're at almost 8,500 feet. At some point you have to say goodbye to that canopy of shade and you emerge into the heather zone. At right about 10,000 feet, rainforest stops. In the heather zone, the vegetation becomes much smaller and less dense. There's no more shade, no more canopy.
We lost the canopy from the rainforest.
Yeah, and that was critical. And a lot of people, especially on my Instagram, were like, Eric, why do you need that Indiana Jones hat for this? You will fry. Yeah, for the heather zone, sunscreen, wide brim hat, glasses.
Sunscreen every hour.
Every hour. Kilimanjaro finally broke from the clouds and showed us its raw power. Up until this point, we hadn't seen the mountain yet. We were absolutely blown away at the sight, and for the first time, we got to properly see what was ahead of us. Knowing that we were at an elevation of over 11,000 feet, grasping how high and enormous the mountain looked, it was truly hard to comprehend what was ahead of us. This is the point in the trip where it's going to start to get pretty ugly. It's 6:30 in the morning. We are both feeling the altitude. Woke up at 11:30 with the worst stomach ache of my life. Pat over here.
I woke up at 11:30 too, but I didn't have the stomach ache.
What did you have?
Eric sleeping next to me. The first night of actual labored breathing last night. Kind of sucked.
So what Pat and I are experiencing is called high altitude sickness, and this is just the onset. But 2 times daily we check our pulse and our blood oxygen levels. These will also drop significantly as we ascend and the air becomes thin. We set off the next day around 7 a.m. through the flat moorlands, trekking through the caldera of an extinct volcano. We made it past the climbing legend Scott Fisher's memorial camp. So we made our way through the moorlands, which is basically flat all day. This is the first real incline. See right behind me in the distance, there she is. We're at 13,000, what is that, Patrick?
600 feet.
We out here, we're getting up there.
Here, for sure.
I feel much better than this morning. We're pushing on at a good pace. We're almost at the porter pace, not quite. We got a long way to go.
This is our first point really feeling the altitude.
Yeah.
That was a heavy climb after lunch.
Do we turn around because of the altitude sickness? Did the storm let up? Do we summit Mount Kilimanjaro? You're gonna have to tune in to the final episode of the Kilimanjaro series to find out. The best is for last. This next video is unlike anything I've ever seen or anyone's ever done on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe.